You are listening to the Blueprints Brocast with Jay Cruz
and Austyn Tokar.
Thank you guys for joining us for another edition of the Blueprints Brocast. Today we have our special guests, but also virtual. No, what do you want to call them?
They're our brothers.
They're our brothers. They're part of the Blueprints.
Our
Brocast.
virtual brothers.
Our virtual brothers. Ryan is on my left. He is the second brother, and Ruben is on my right. He's the third brother. You guys know, like, I've been on this bodybuilding journey, and you know when somebody says, "Hey, if you could have just told your 15-year-old self, like, hey, this is what you need to start doing," what would you tell your 15-year-old self in terms of fitness and getting fit and what's worked for you? Man, you automatically started laughing.
Okay, guys, but I'm not sharing with the whole class.
Shouldn't be talking.
That's why I was got in trouble in school. I had a good joke.
Okay, in the scenario where it's just you and your 15-year-old self, there's no weirdness about it. Stop making it weird. What would you tell your 15-year-old self?
Start with the youngest brother.
Oh, so as far as just fitness, right?
Yeah, we'll keep it to fitness. I mean, maybe if I don't know. No, let's
do everything.
No, because
That's too much information.
we'll start with fitness and then let it flow from there. We can find things within that vein.
Yeah.
So for me, the biggest thing for me is, like, a lot of people spend time working out and then they're not sure if things work for them or not work for them. I think powerlifting was one of the best things that helped my bodybuilding, because after I did that, I got a really good response from that, and I just started to grow. And then after I did that, then my body was burnt out from that, and then I went into volume, and then my body responded to that too. So, like, I would say the biggest thing that I learned is alternating your training style. So, like, higher volume for a while, and then going to eliciting a response by taxing your nervous system and not staying in one space for too long. I don't know. Austyn may or may not agree with that. He might be like, "No, you just gotta stick with it." But for me, I've noticed that I make the most gains by doing that. And of course, like, the simplest thing is, if I could have understood macros and formed habits for eating younger, I mean, right now I'd be that much more far ahead. It's like nowadays, people always tell us, like, "Oh, how do you guys eat crap and still stay fit?" Well, I mean, you're slowly turning up the dial, and I think at this point in time, I would have the dial so turned up. I mean, there's sometimes where I just know what I'm eating. I'm like, I'm gonna see this in a day or two, and I'm gonna be holding water, have a bunch of sodium in me. But as far as what I can gauge is gonna happen to me, I'm a whole lot better, and so there's less unknowns with everything that I'm doing, is the best way for me to put it.
Yeah. So, what do you mean unknown aspects?
Unknown aspects, like, for example, like being able to understand, like, days why you look like you're holding water, why you look like you haven't made any progress, and then you have the day after where, let's say, you don't have where you have, like, high sodium and then clean carbs and not too crazy on fats, and then you just look diced up the next day. Or even simple things like sodium intake before you actually go and work out and having a good pump. Things like that, where there's tons of unknowns, right? And so being able to program things down to not like minuscule levels, but enough to where the rhyme behind the reason, right? Things just happen to your body. And, like, when I was younger, I'm like, "Oh yeah, today I look ripped, I'm huge." Like, or I'd wake up in the morning, I'd feel cut, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go work out, like, at 10 because I'm looking really good." And I didn't know, like, oh, if I pump myself give myself some salt and then give myself some carbs, that I'd look even more pumped. Like, little things like that, you just don't know exactly why your body looks the way it does. And it was all unknowns. You're just like, "I don't know why I look good today. Today's just like, you had to guess. You're like, "Oh, you know what? I ate a bunch of trash food yesterday, so fast food is the secret to me looking big." Stuff like that, where it's like you were using bro science versus actual science to be able to have predictability in exactly what you're doing.
I think the hard part of everything you're saying is, like, when you're young, everything works differently. Like, when you take in food, staying cut is very, very easy. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, you're naturally, like, one of the things that we're trying to do is just get steps in a day and be active. As a kid, man, you hit your brother and you're chasing him around the house for 5 minutes. You get in 1,000 steps in no time for no reason. You want to play basketball. You want to go ride your bike. You're active all the time.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you're young, like what you're saying, "Oh, I'll just eat McDonald's food." Well, guess what? All the way up until, like, I was 23-ish, man, I was active all the time, playing basketball or running or chasing somebody for no reason. And so I could eat anything, but then, it is definitely a formula. It's calories in, calories out. If all of a sudden I stop that activity, I get my first desk job at what, 2021, it slowly transitioned from active all the time to I'm just looking at a computer screen. That's what really changed my like gaining weight is stop being active, and I just still ate the crap.
Well, it's like me. Someone would tell me, "Hey, let's go hiking before you have a night shift working as a bartender." So you were super active as a bartender, but then you would like, in my mid-20s, I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go for a hike." Whereas now, if somebody told me that, if I was still bartending, I'd be like, "Oh heck no, I'm going to be paying for it." Or Ryan, when he worked at Mission Ranch, he would leave and then he would go skimboard and then he'd go back to work, and just that activity level versus now, he's just like, when he's done with work, he's like, maybe I'll work out today. We'll see how I feel.
Yeah. So I would just say that age plays a role in that, and just your stage of life. When natural activity just happens versus like you have to force it and actually be intentional about taking care of it. So, yeah.
I do think you tend to take less risks too when you're older. You're like, you know what, maybe I'll work out today, maybe I won't. I think Ryan's the best at that. It's like, you know what, today's not the day to work out. But how many injuries do you see Ryan have like on a consistent basis?
Yes.
I don't think you've had an injury in the past, like, what, 8 years, 10
My
years?
back hurts, bro.
Oh, yeah,
Bro, that doesn't
but
count.
where did your back injury
That
come from?
doesn't
Though?
count.
Yeah,
But
but
what did you do that?
I was playing basketball and
No, we're talking about
I
lifting.
was a center and I was jumping way too much.
Yeah.
It just messed my back up.
Yeah, that's load management though. That's you not doing that all the time. Then all of a sudden one day you do like 50 to 100% more than you would normally do, and you're taking you're probably boxing people out bigger than you too at the same time.
Yeah.
So like you have this 250-pound dude riding on your back basically the whole time. So
yeah, what happened to you is the equivalent to me walking up to some guy in the gym, like a teenager, and be like, "You want to deadlift 405 pounds today?" It's just not a common activity for him, so it's gonna beat up his body bad.
yeah. So yeah, I mean I feel that just existing. So like give yourself 2 more years and yeah. I wake up and I hurt, so I got to figure that one out.
He's got ice packs.
Ice packs.
Yeah, he's ice packs.
You ever go to sleep and you feel all your joints just throbbing?
No.
You don't know why. You didn't do anything that day. Why is it throbbing?
No, I don't have that. No, I don't got that.
Me neither.
Yeah, but you work a job where you're just grinding the whole day. Like, how much do you walk when you're?
No, I used to walk a lot, but now it's just
Oh, you got.
I got these
Park. You park your car.
these apartments. I just park and there's a big old mailboxes and I just stand around.
No.
Wait, do you get different routes now, or is it
No,
still
it's the same route, same easy route, man.
Right, you get a permanent route now?
He's the king of this castle.
I've had the permanent route the last 4 years. I changed to a new route just last year.
So is that like a promotion, or is that a
It
that's
feels like a
promotion. That's a
promotion.
promotion.
I get paid the same and I do
do less
way
maintenance work?
less.
They had this cool thing at my job where you do more work and you get paid the same amount, just because you do your job good. It's the worst.
It's your fault. You should have set the expectation level low.
And so how many steps do you get a day now compared to before?
Probably like a quarter as much.
Wait, how many miles? We'll put it this way, because he doesn't count his steps. How many miles do you walk in a day?
Probably like 1.3.
Oh,
Yeah, but you were doing like 5 before, right?
No, probably like four-ish.
yeah. So that's 8 to 10,000 steps if you're doing 4 miles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So like an easy,
it's more than I would
easy
get.
10,000. Yeah, and then doing anything on top of that. So what would you say? What is the difference between now and back then? What do you like?
What do I like?
Yeah, within training itself, it's like, this is what I did when I was younger, this is what I like now, and maybe this is what I would have changed when I was younger with training.
Like, what do you do now? That's
You know
an
what we're
extension
talking
of
about?
What you
You know,
figured out.
the subject of the podcast today.
I thought the whole thing was like, what would you tell your 15-year-old self?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically that. It's like,
Oh,
hey,
we'll talk about the other stuff.
what
later,
you
but
know
training
now,
specifically.
and then what you know then, but what you would tell yourself because of what you know now. That's what he said. It's the same thing. It's just the expanded.
Well,
Chop,
I mean,
chop.
if I tell my 15-year-old self, I'd be like, hey, I wouldn't tell him anything about working out because he's 15 years old.
You don't want to look good at 15?
I looked good when I was 15, bro. I didn't even work out. I just played basketball. That's all I needed to do. So I enjoyed it.
He had abs in 6th grade.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So that's it. You go back to your 15.
But I mean, I tell him just to be like, just pick up big, good habits. That's it. If
So
you
what's a
plan on
bad
working
habit
out.
that you picked up that you would tell him, hey, don't do this habit?
Procrastination, man. That's all there is. That's the main thing.
What did you procrastinate in a lot?
I was like, oh, I'm gonna play some Apex today. I'm not gonna work out. So yeah, that would happen a lot. And sometimes I like, oh, I'm not gonna work out today, and then it turned into 3 days in a row I wouldn't be working out, and it's just like, oh man, I feel like, oh, I'm not being productive enough.
Dude, when I got into working out, and I think it was, I was like maybe 8 years good solid straight, like didn't miss a day really. Diablo 3 came out, and I played it like one day, and I'm like, oh, I'll work out tomorrow, and then it was like really good, and it went on a week. Oh, I'll work out tomorrow. Dude, I did that for 6 months, and somebody at work was like, hey man, like you okay? You feeling okay? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're looking a little soft. And from that day on, I was like, I'm never gonna like the procrastination thing. I was like, oh, I cannot do that. Like,
You're like, hey, have you seen my rare items though?
yeah, have you seen all my legendaries? Yeah, I vowed never to let that happen again. So, yeah, but that was real time though. Like, it's like someone else told me in real time, like, hey, you gotta work out. So, yeah, that's
Hey,
it.
what happened between remember in San Diego, you're working out all the
Oh
time?
yeah, you're buff.
When you started the was it UPS or it was still USPS?
The last time he was buff is when he went to Europe, and then after that he started to decline.
No, it was after San Diego. When you got the
After
first job.
San Diego,
Yeah, when you got the first delivery job. That's when you kind of started trending.
same thing as what Jay said. Like I had no video games. There was nothing I was interested in video games wise. So I was like, okay, all I have is either watching TV or hiking or working out or stuff. It's like and plus in San Diego, that's where I picked up my like consistently working out 5-6 days a week.
Were you at the Bay Club though?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why
You had a
I would
good
work out all
nice
the time if I had the Bay Club.
Well,
too.
and I think I was still working out consistently when I had a membership at Gold's. So I mean, if you're paying for something, then it makes you more consistent to go out. Like I'm not gonna waste. Oh, I was like paying like $50 a month
Yeah,
and
that's
not
true.
work out.
So what you're saying is I should charge you to go in the garage and use my equipment.
That doesn't make sense at all. Yeah. When I went to started working out in the gym or garage gym, it was just like, it just wasn't. It was too convenient for me. So
So you're
I
saying
was
you
like-
fell off?
I would say like, oh, I'm gonna work out at 8 o'clock, and then it turned into 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh, I got plenty of time to work out at 10, and then I was like, oh, I'm tired.
And that's exactly why I don't work out at home all the time. Why I leave and I'll go work out at Gold sometimes.
Yeah. So would you say should you buy another Gold's Gym membership?
That's a yes.
I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for a while, but it's just like, man, then I'd have to change my whole routine of how my day goes.
Yeah, but your current routine is, oh, I'll do it at 7, I'll do it at 9, I'll do it at 10. Up, sleep time.
Wait, when you did have a Gold's membership, did you just work out after
Right,
work?
right after work, dude. I'd go, I'd go, and I'd go to like Demetra's or some other like Subways, and I'd eat, and then I go work out.
Oh, okay.
But right now with all these, inflation, I think it'd be like really expensive.
Man, you got plenty of money. You
Demetra's?
should just
They're
get a
great.
Gold's
They don't change
membership, a gym membership again, because it give your day a better flow.
I could get you a free membership there.
Yeah. I remember when you worked there and you got me that discount and then you got in trouble for it.
Sounds about
He
right.
just wanted to act like he was
Hey.
upset.
I can ask. Oh, Evan's back. I can ask Evan if he can like add you to my plan and then you can get a discount because I'm like the grandfather's.
Hey, Ruben
Yeah,
can get
they'll
you some
break you.
deals at Circuit City too.
YOLO.
Oh man.
Did we talk about that story?
No, we're not talking about that story.
Nah, it'd be good for my business. Lots of customers.
No, we're not talking about that story.
Yeah.
I think for me, like when I hear people today, like if I were to tell somebody like today, like somebody else, what they should do, for sure it would be like stop telling yourself that you're gonna do it because you're not going to. You have to do it now. But I'd say my 15-year-old self, man, don't get injured. Don't do stupid stuff. Don't do things that are hero work.
Lifting trucks.
Lifting trucks. I don't think we told that. Did we tell that story? I don't know. I did something really
You told
stupid.
it
we
once.
talked
You
about
told it
that.
once.
Yeah, I did something really stupid. I hurt my back, and it's been bad ever since then. I was 19. It's never recovered. So don't injure yourself because it'll haunt you for your whole life. And also just make good general decisions, because the reason why that happened in the first place is because I was making poo-poo life decisions. And then I put myself into a place where I'm lifting trucks and being dumb. I would say that. And then also I think the other thing is don't bulk. Like, don't go dirty, crazy bulk. I know that when I moved to Georgia and I first started working out, and like the first time you guys saw me when you guys visited or I came back, and you guys were like, oh dang, you're big, and I was like 215 at that time, but I was just like, yeah, I was big, but like I was just a blob. Like in retrospect, at that time, it seemed like I was big, and strong, but dude, I was hecka weak. I think I was benching
Your weight, you were heaviest.
225 was like my max. I was like, yeah, I bet you 225, but I was weighed 215, so that's stupid. And so now, I'm way under that weight, but 225 is reps. So like,
Wait, how do you feel about that, Austin? How do you feel about? Do you think that it's good for somebody, even if they don't know what they're doing, to do a preliminary bulk, or do you think they should just only do that? I mean, you're gonna under the supervision of a coach. Like, how do you feel about people like having a bulk experience when they don't know as much?
Well, I have different opinions about it, because when I started, same thing. I just got really fat because at the time, Kai Green, Phil Heath were popular at the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to look up their meal plans.
eat 50 meals a day.
Exactly. I was like having like 5,000 calories a day. Kai Green's like 10 ounces of protein every single meal. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. That was really expensive. I wonder how much mom and dad were paying for my food.
I remember the freezer and the fridge being full of meat all the time, and I was like, yeah, this was around when I was a kid. We had chimichangas, corn dogs, and
Hey, shout out Chimichangas, El Monterey.
but yeah, go
What's
ahead.
Monterey thing?
No, that's the name of the company.
That's
El
the brand.
Monterey.
Yeah.
I used to eat those by the grip.
So anyways, yeah, you were following Kai Green and
Yeah, so you're
Phil
just
Heath.
having like 5,000 calories a day, but no concept of what they're doing, on the back end. Those other things they got going on there.
Candies.
And then, and I basically get really fat. You guys saw me. I was really chunky. I was big, though. I was big, but I was chunky. I was strong, too, though, because I was playing football all the time.
You were strong.
Yeah, so I have all the records at MPC still for linebackers and running backs. So I get to put that out there. Make sure everybody knows. Yeah.
All
You
the
don't
records
remember-
like deadlift.
Deadlift,
bench.
squat, and bench press.
You remember the first time we squatted with him over at Fitness Evo? He was doing, what are you doing, like 5 plates or something stupid? And
Yeah,
I was
then I
like,
hurt my hamstring.
I was like, oh, I don't think I should be lifting with this
That's
guy.
what I'm saying, man. Don't do hero work, man.
Yeah. No, when you're young, you don't feel it. But then when you're older, you're like, oh, dang, I'm starting to feel it a little bit. But you slowly stave off of it as long as you pay attention to it. But it really depends on the person, because that really pushed me into that lifestyle. If I never did that dirty broke, who's to say that I would be where I am now within fitness? I might just like half butt it, the whole time. Like, you know what? I'm making minimal gains. But the psychology aspect of it is like, I really thought I was like 260 pounds of muscle at that point. I was like, yeah, I'm getting big.
Well, going back, Jay, so that was like the first lesson, right? Anything else besides that for you?
Mainly because cutting is really difficult. Like, cutting is not fun right now. Like, because I'm doing it's pretty slow. It's like 1.5 pounds a week. 1 week I lost 3, but if you don't have a guide, like definitely 100% have a guide. Like, I think a guide is a huge deal. Don't go in there and look at like exactly what Austin said. Oh, you just look at what the pros are doing and then you copy what they're doing. They're doing something completely different than the average Joe. You cannot work out in the morning, take a nap, and then go work out in the afternoon and work out 8 hours a day like they do. You just can't do that. You can't eat 12 meals a day every hour and a half. You just can't do that.
My growth hormone says I can.
That's what I'm saying, though. If you're just it's not offensive. I'm not trying to be offensive, but if you're just the average Joe, you're just the average person.
Doughboy, you're the average fat guy.
Yeah, you're just the average Joe. Don't do any of that stuff, because you're first of all, you're not an elite athlete. Just get it out of your head. Like, I'm not trying to talk down to people and tell them that they can't be somebody, but more often than not, you're average. Like, I'm sorry, but you are. Like, Ruben, you were just talking about it the other day, but there's like 5% of the entire earth that can lift 225.
That's crazy to me. I'm like, nah, there's got to be. I go to the gym and Like 80% of the people in the gym can lift 225.
But that's the 5% of the people because
Yeah.
they go to the gym. You've got your
Yeah, what percentage goes to the gym out of the world?
yeah. There's probably like
A lot of them, but they just don't actually go to the gym.
That's why
They have
obesity.
membership.
there's like 30% of people that probably go to the gym, if that. And then of that, there's that smaller percentage. But that's what I'm just saying. There are some people that out there, if you're elite, you already know it, or you have a coach or somebody like scouting you and telling you that you are. You in your own mind, like you're not. We're not. You know, we could do this family. To be honest, we could do a lot of elite things, like singular things, but overall package, I don't think it's there. But we definitely have different genes, and we look different than most families. That's just the way that goes.
I was benching 362 at 182 pounds when I did the powerlifting meet.
Yeah. So you could do amazing things. Don't get me wrong. You can do amazing things, but don't think of yourself bigger than what you really are. Work at what you have, and don't try and go crazy. Like, yes, try to like have lofty goals, 100%. Don't just say, oh, I'm just going to bench 315 and that's going to be my life. At one point I thought that was like crazy to do. And then I think Ruben came over one day. He's like, oh, let's put 10 more on. And I benched like 335. And I was like, oh, I didn't like, I never pushed myself. So sometimes you absolutely do need someone to push you. But for the most part, like, man, just be healthy, try and get strong, but do it, with a guideline and some sort of parameter, and somebody like actually knows what they're doing to coach you. Don't just go in there and go crazy. Cause I was benching wrong for years. I was benching like this, all winged out, and I didn't know I was, hurting my shoulders until a guy that bodybuilded, he's like, I know how you bench. I don't even have to see you. I know you bench like this because my shoulders were really big. He's like, you bench like this. And I was like, oh, I didn't really realize that. And then my chest got bigger when I started benching at 45. So like, everyone needs a guide. It doesn't matter. Even me, someone that's been working out forever needs one. Even Austin, who's a professional coach. I'm a professional coach now too. I get paid to do it. But anyways, even Austin as a professional coach, you just need someone outside of yourself to tell you what you're doing wrong or what you could do better, or very minimally record yourself and look back at yourself, like at minimal. So that's what I would say.
Your shoulders never hurt when you're doing that?
No. So here's the thing. I don't know which one of you guys I was talking to, this maybe Austin, but all exercises are made up. You know what I mean? There's no original, like, oh, this is how people exercise. It's just a body movement that people continually do and get strong at it. Have you ever seen that guy that does he does deficit, like straight back deadlifts, where he'll pull it from like 2-3 feet below him, like straight backed, and then he'll curl it up? Well, he's taught his body to do that, like, so like he has the ability to do that. I would not advise anyone else to do that, but you can learn how to do pretty much anything. Those contortionists, none of us are going to do that, but the body is adaptable, so it can do things. So exercises are all made up. There's no technically right or wrong way to necessarily do them, unless it's biomechanically wrong and it's going to hurt you, which that should have, but I built up to it, so I was fine. What's the other one? Biomechanically incorrect, or just not optimal. Like if you're doing, rows or something like that, you don't want to just pull from up here, because then you're doing, shoulder work as opposed to lat work. So
It's like that on my incline press. My incline press, I watched Dexter Jackson do it, and he was doing guillotine press. And so I got really big on guillotine press just to build up my upper shelf. And then somebody was training with me, and then they tried to do the same exact way. And I'm like this up here.
yeah.
And I can do 225 up here, right, for a guillotine. And then they were struggling with 145 that way, but then they could do standard incline. They could bench like close to what I could, but it's just like mechanically, they just, their body, I mean, they don't even have, their connective tissue doesn't even help support them in a way to be able to do this movement. And once my body learned to do that, guillotine press was, you're not supposed to go that high though, but my body can handle doing more weight.
Because you practiced it.
Because I practiced it, so.
Yeah. You can practice something wrong and become super strong at it. I mean, there's weird exercises where you can grab a cable, and instead of just doing like most people just do like this, but you could put your arm and crank it like this and turn and then do like this, and it's an exercise.
And look at CrossFitters, they know how to do all kinds of useless stuff.
I'm not touching that, but there are things that you shouldn't do that they do, but there are also some things that I'm saying, like, they're butterfly pull-ups, or even just
the kips.
Yeah, kips. Like that's useful for cardio if you do it right. But I'll tell you, most people, they're going to do it wrong, and they're going to pull their arm out of their socket. But like, if you do most, let me like not recant what I said, but if you do any movement controlled, any movement can be an exercise as long as it's controlled. If you do like crazy stuff, then who the heck knows?
Intentionality is like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
What about you, man? Like, what would you tell yourself 2 years ago?
I would do the exact opposite of what you guys would do. I would explore more.
Okay.
And I would eat a little bit more intuitively, what I'm doing now. Because what I've found is that from years and years of just like doing straight bodybuilding, that it kind of like, it depends on the personality and the individual, but it really pushes you into the ground. You're like, you know what? I'm driving myself in a hole. This is the only person that I've become, just the bodybuilder. Like this is the meals I have. And I think psychologically that kind of messed me up for eating, because then I would have these wild binges. And you were there post show. Were you there?
Dude, I saw the pictures that you post online where there's like just donuts and hamburgers.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro, like that's, so you're like 1 hour after the show, man.
Yeah. So you're dieting for so long, or you're sticking to a meal plan for so long. You're like, I can't have anything off. But then you're like, you know what? I think I'll sneak something in there. You know what I mean? And then it ends up being like, it's just a little bit.
He was laying on the bed and he was just like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten all that. Oh, and then like, yeah, it was like the room was super gassy too. Because he had a burger from Hodad's, which Ryan, those burgers were huge,
and a shake,
and then he had a milkshake,
shake, onion rings,
and then we got done, and then we decided to go to Carl's Jr. and get cookies.
No, we went to tacos too.
We got tacos on the same night. We went out.
This is all the same night?
It's all the same day, yeah.
Dude, I can't do that. Eating dirty, I can't do
Hey,
that.
no, that was like the thing too is that that was like when I was bigger. And remember, I ate my hamburger at Hodez. You and me finished our hamburgers like that. We're just watching everybody eat, and we were like, "Oh,
yeah,
I want more food."
No, I took time when I was at Hodad's, man. It took me a while to eat that thing. It's big.
But it was also kind of like vacation too. We were only gonna be there for 3 days, so
I eat like a pig. I'm on vacation.
Yeah, what are you?
That's what I worked for. I worked for a vacation so I could eat whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
You're at home. Why are you eating so much, Austin? Vacation.
But the thing is, you take that stuff home with you too. So you give yourself that freedom. Like, you know what? It's just one thing, and then it turns into a second thing, third thing, and then you're like, okay, gotta stop. But when you get home, it's like, I'll have one more thing, and then it turns into a whole thing downhill for yourself.
I want to relive that experience again.
And it's like you say you're going to get back on plan, but I think it does more detriment than it does, benefit. And there's a time and place to be like, hey, I got to be straight edge. I need to be on plan. But as far as like in the off season, quote unquote, off season time or maintenance time, live a little bit more freely. You don't have to have, unless you want to, the same thing every single day and being the same calorie load.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying in the terms of like, even when I've been eating, there's times where I eat something and I'm like, oh man, I just ate that. Like, what am I gonna do? But I already planned to eat like the bad meal first thing in the morning, like it's dinner. I know what I'm gonna eat. I put it in MyFitnessPal, and then I know what I can eat for the rest of the day. So like it's still like intuitive. Like I'm still gonna eat what I want, but I'm just gonna balance out the macros. Macros wasn't a thing, And when I first started lifting, it didn't even exist. It was just like, hey, just make sure you eat 3 meals a day and you have protein. Like that was pretty much the thing. Low fat, low carb diet, eat protein. And yes, technically that would work, but how much of that do I need? How much am I going to do? There's no guide, and there was no like, hey, here's what macros are, and this is how much you need. The science of it has come a long, long way.
Actually, mostly meal plans only existed up to like the 2014 timeframe. That's when like MyFitnessPal came out and popularized macronutrients. Like, hey, you stick to a certain macros, you'll lose weight, you'll gain weight, whatever.
Yeah.
But before that was just meal plans.
Look at even like the difference. Jay, you had like nobody, right? There's no internet from social media. Then you have Austin, where he was watching them, but he had no process orientation. So he was like, eat a ton of food. And now you have like, Generation Z, where there's such a huge influx of information that they can learn everything they need to learn. So it's like it's gotten easier for people to be more fit over time and have, there's a lot of garbage information.
Too much information.
There's too much. There's almost too much information. Yeah, they talk about that on the Brocast podcast that people...
Hey. Can't throw them in here.
They talk about another podcast. You can cut that. They talk about another podcast where people get too obsessed with the perfect way of doing everything.
Oh yeah.
Versus being intuitive, not just sitting on their food and their eating, but also in their workouts. And so it's kind of weird. Like you were out in no man's land when you started. Austin was in information, but not information with orientation. And then now it's just like information, and then you're being orientated in every single direction. So it's like, what do I do?
There's so many people out there that fake influencers that have never trained anybody in their entire life, and then they're like, I'm a personal coach, and they're online, and it's like, dude, you haven't even trained like your friend or like even a neighbor or anybody. So like, why are you trying to like claim, like anybody could put CPT on their what do you call it, their profile. Anybody could put, oh, I'm an Instagram model. But what professional photos have you ever took? Anybody could put anything, and it's just like, oh, do they have a lot of followers? Oh, then they must be legit. But you can buy followers and all that stuff. There's so much misinformation out there that it's just hard to weed through it, because somebody has the appearance of like, hey, I have a really good video, you must be legit, or
They're always Middle Eastern too. Whenever you see people who pay for their followers, they're always just like, it's all written in Arabic. And you're like, and from Turkey, and like, oh, this guy's from Dagestan, and he liked it and says, beautiful princess, you are a bodybuilding god. It's like, these are all fake followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. For us, the information was out there. For Ryan's not really the, like, I got to follow fitness personality, learn my information. Ryan was actually the most shredded out of all of us at one point.
Yeah.
And how did you go about that? Because I know you weren't tracking anything. How would you perceive intuitive eating? Like when you would think like, okay, I'll have this because whatever. Is that kind of going in your head, or do you have like some sort of balance of like, I need some protein, and then I'll just have, carbs and fats in there? What was your thought process?
Did you just get lucky?
No, I was just like no sweets, no sodas, and I guess what was that people in the Bible? They just ate vegetables.
They were
They
vegan.
Daniel,
yeah.
Shadrach,
Oh,
Meshach,
yeah.
I was
Veggies
eating
and
more vegetables because of those guys. Those guys did good, and they got thrown in the fire and they didn't burn up.
Well, I would say also, see, the thing that he never did, he never had a bulk ever. Like he never did that. So that's why he's.
I had a bulk.
Well, I mean,
It's not bulk.
Yeah,
you had a
dirty
college
bulk.
bulk.
You never-
Oh shoot!
you-
The college.
No,
bulk,
actually, when he was drinking a lot in
Oh, that
college,
doesn't count.
Yeah,
It's just fat.
Yeah, but that wasn't an intentional bulk.
Yeah.
That was just like, oh, woke up fat.
yeah.
It's very different.
So anyways, for sure, like he never did that. We all bulked, and it's hard to just get back off. The thing about fat is once you create a ton of it, it's just like how do I get rid of this and keep it off? Like it's really hard. So he was more like a skinny fat. He wasn't like a big fat like we all got at some point.
He's also the proof that you can get muscle just incrementally just get bigger, not after ever have a bulk. Because I mean, his 185 was like, he was like a good 185. Like he was what your body fat percentage
I
was
was
like
never
10,
185.
10, 12?
I got to 180.
Oh,
But also, like he's also
I'm
been
not
the
impressed anymore.
5 pounds is not impressed. He's also been the one that's done cardio all the time. Like he's always had cardio, whether it be skimboarding or basketball. He's always kept it in.
That's the secret. HIIT training, because he's been doing skimboarding. Just
I cut it out.
Yeah.
I completely cut it out. In order for me to gain weight, I completely cut out any kind of cardio. And that was how I gained weight. And I ate, 3,500 calories a day and no cardio, not even walking. So,
But now you should incorporate.
oh
cardio.
heck yeah, man! I'd rather just eat 4,000 calories and make sure that I'm at activity, that rather than, eat 2,500 calories and that's high. Like that would be high, for someone that doesn't eat that much. Like
I don't know how you guys do that, man. The walking so boring.
it's boring, but like it's I like like in a
You've seen them, right? They're like walking around the house.
Yeah.
But if you're playing games or something like that, there's like a
Yeah.
goal that you want to hit, like an achieve. So I play like a game. Like
You guys don't remember Pokemon Go? Come on, everyone was doing steps. You were able to like entertain yourself while
We
doing
were
it.
driving a car, bro.
Nah, man, we hacked the game
Yeah,
so
they
that way
hacked it.
we hacked the game so you could just go. I was in
Drove
Japan
the car
hunting for Pokemon in the game.
It's too much driving. Let's see what they got out here. Oh,
Yeah, but we would get out of the car and we'd walk that whole area, then get back in the car. And
Yeah,
go
when we
different
first started playing, we were pretty active. That was
well, that was fun.
area.
Yeah.
We did like easy 10,000 steps without meaning to do it.
then a couple of people fell off cliffs playing the game and they realized they weren't meant for the outdoors.
But I'd say for most people, Ryan's methodology to training, to eating, and lifestyle is probably the best way to go because again, this
Less
is more
thinking.
less thinking.
Yeah, well, when you
less
got your
thinking,
job
yeah.
and stuff. and
Yeah,
you're
very
busy.
simple.
Yeah.
It's just like eat your fruits and vegetables, work out, do cardio, get a lot of steps, and just keep it very simple. It's very low maintenance if you really think about it. It's like, hey, I'm just doing this because I want to.
Yeah, and you've been heavy, so people can't throw the genetics.
Yeah.
Well,
thing
we
at
all
you.
have. We all have.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying they can't say that he's fit because of genetics, because he's not been fit when he was in college. So
Yeah.
Well, you don't need the numbers game. You don't need like, hey, I got to track everything to the nth number, right? Ryan doesn't do that. You don't need to track steps specifically. You just need to get some movement, and you don't. Well, he progressively overloads in the gym, so that's good. So he builds
yeah, that's
muscle.
true.
Yeah, you got to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just challenge yourself in the gym, stay active, and then don't eat stupid. And you should be pretty okay. And I think it's hard for people to get those disciplines down though, because the first time you start become sedentary, and then like you like that for a year or two.
Oh, it feels nice.
Getting active is hard. is really hard after that. And then like you start eating like crap. You're used to eating out all the time. Oh, I gotta cook my own food. That becomes hard. So like, just don't lose disciplines that make you better. Like you just gotta make better choices when it comes down to.